G'day, Troy Dean here, and welcome to another episode of the WP Elevation Podcast. If you're listening to this podcast on your iPhone or your Android device and you're not on our website, I strongly encourage you to come and check out the video of this podcast at wpelevation.com/podcast, because I'm sitting right now on a beach, on a patio out the back of a beach house at the Ensenadas Beach here in beautiful, sunny Southern California. It is absolutely spectacular. And right now we're showing you some of the footage of our view from our patio. We've been here for the last 3 days masterminding with our buddies on our online businesses, and it's just been an incredible experience. And we thought we'd make a couple of episodes of the podcast while we're here. So go and check out wpelevation.com/podcast and have a look for the episode with Mike Rhodes, and you'll see some of the footage of the beach there. This week's feature guest is none other than Mike Rhodes. He is a pay-per-click AdWords specialist based in Melbourne in Australia. He's also one of the authors of the world's best-selling book on AdWords. He co-wrote that book with Brian Todd and Perry Marshall. We're going to learn all about PPC. We're going to learn about how to scale your ad campaigns using the display network. It's a fabulous episode. Mike's got a little bit of a hangover, which was fun, but there's tons of gold in it. I hope you can stay with us.
This is the WP Elevation Podcast, helping WordPress consultants elevate.
Hey, this episode of the WP Elevation Podcast is brought to you by WP Elevation. Well, more specifically, it's brought to you by a bunch of our happy customers. See, frankly, I feel a little bit awkward telling you how great WP Elevation is, because you're probably not going to believe me, because WP Elevation is my baby. It's something that we started over 3 years ago. Of course, now we're a team of coaches and mentors, and we have hundreds, and by the time you're listening to this, probably thousands of members all over the world. But it still really is something that I'm very passionate about, and of course, if you join WP Elevation, we make revenue and we make profit. So it's a little bit awkward if I tell you how great it is, because you probably think I'm just trying to sell you on it, and partially I am, because I know how beneficial the program is. So what I'd love to do instead is just introduce you to some of our customers. So if you go to wpelevation.com/thepodcast, all one word, you'll be able to hear some of those stories from our customers and hear for yourself how WP Elevation has impacted their business and changed their lives. I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you check it out at some point. Right now, let's get back to the podcast. G'day folks, Troy Dean here from WP Elevation, and I'm here with my good buddy Mike Rhodes. Hey dude, how are you?
Hello.
I can't believe it's taken me this long to get you on the podcast. This is like episode,
Slack,
I don't know.
isn't it, really?
We're up to more than 110.
I'm not at all offended.
I know, well good, I'm glad. Hey, we are coming to you from beautiful Encinitas in sunny Southern California. If you could see the view here, which you can't, but if you could, it's just spectacular.
It's awesome.
Hey, you're a PPC AdWords specialist. We're going to talk more about that, but first of all, you're a published author of a best-selling book, right?
Yes,
How
I am.
did that come about?
Came about with a couple of guys in the States, Perry Marshall and Brian Todd. They had written the first couple of editions of this book. And in 2013, we started chatting about the next edition of the book. And at this stage, I had been running all of the AdWords training within their organisation, so creating all of the content and the training for their members and their audience.
Gotcha.
So I guess I was the obvious person to ask to co-author with, to write the next one, which came out about 2 years ago.
Right. Wow.
And we've just signed the deal for the fifth one.
Wow.
Exclusive.
Cool.
For you there.
Cool.
So that'll be coming out late 2017.
Yep.
The world's best-selling book on AdWords. So they tell me about 100,000 copies sold, which is kind of cool.
I've heard a lot over the years that you don't make a lot of money writing a book, but it's more like a lead gen, or
it's a very nice business card.
Right.
Yeah.
Has it changed? Has it impacted the consulting service, the client services consulting business?
Definitely. Yeah. It's enabled us to get bigger, better clients, more interesting clients. Probably I'd say 30% of our book now is American.
Yep.
60% Aussie and 10% sort of bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So yeah, the American side of our business has really grown because of it. Perry's not massively known outside of America. Like my clients, most of my Aussie clients wouldn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But he is well known. He's well known inside of the States. He's the kind of the granddaddy of AdWords.
Yeah.
Certainly AdWords coaching.
How did you meet Perry?
I met him originally in 2004. I went to an event organised up in Coolum by Simon Chen, who brought over Alex Mandosian, Paul Colligan, David somebody, It was amazing. Alex Van Dozian, I said that.
Yeah.
I'm a moron.
Yeah.
It was the who's who of internet marketing at the time.
Yeah.
And Perry was there speaking about AdWords. And I'd been an E-Myth coach up until this point and been doing some small business stuff. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it was just, oh my God, this is what every small business needs.
Yeah.
I mean, to only show an ad to people that are looking for what you sell.
Yeah.
To only pay if and when they're interested enough to click on your ad.
Yeah.
And then you get to bring them to your website, anywhere on your website that you want, and give them the message about the thing that they were just looking for. I mean, how good is that? And back then it was 5 cents a click. It's a little more expensive now.
Just a little.
And it was game changing, and I just dropped everything I was doing and went, right, AdWords is it.
Wow. And so you're based in Melbourne?
In Melbourne,
in Australia. And what's your team look like these days?
So we're about 11 or 12 strong, all in Melbourne.
Yep.
And then we've got a few guys overseas. I've got a couple of ex-Googlers over in India that help us out with just some of the sort of more day-to-day stuff. So they're not running the accounts and managing the accounts. All of that happens in Melbourne because there's just too much nuance, I find, in AdWords. You know, too much nuance in language.
Yeah.
The difference between Troy Dean book and book Troy Dean.
Yeah.
Same 3 words, very different meaning. And writing great ad copy. My well, there's a few copywriters on the team. My main copywriter is an ex-radio script guy, so he was used to writing radio scripts, maybe like 10 a day, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
He's brilliant in terms of direct copy and just the way he thinks about angles and hooks and that's, I think, where a lot of, not that we're talking about AdWords agencies, but where a lot of AdWords people struggle is that the guy that's doing the pivot tables and the data and the generally shouldn't be the same guy writing the ad. So splitting that into 2 different, those are 2 skills that don't usually exist in the same brain.
AdWords has changed a lot in the last 10 years.
It has.
How have you managed to reinvent yourself or keep current with what's going on and keep your clients engaged and keep getting results with your clients? How have you managed to keep up?
Really good question. Hire bloody smart, really interesting, happy, curious, resourceful people.
Yeah.
Number one.
That's really easy to do,
because there's loads of it. I've been very, very lucky with the amazing team that I've got. We have a wonderful culture in the business, and they've created that.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And education. Right. I probably still spend, I'd say, at least 5 hours, if not 10 hours a week on my education.
Yeah.
That education is more probably business these days than just AdWords, but data, analytics, how to build leads, how to run business, what does finance in business look like, and I love it. I love the business of business.
Yeah.
So it's not work.
And how have you managed to? I mean, I imagine. Well, I did a little bit of consulting when we had an agency, a little bit of PPC and social media, and for me it was a constant education piece for the clients. Like, how do you continually educate your clients that this isn't just a magic thing that we do. We run ads and all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of customers. It's a collaboration. They have to have the right offer. They have to have the right product. They have to collaborate on the project with you. Do you get to a point sometimes where you just fire clients because they're just not going to play the game?
Yeah. We're not afraid to fire clients. I think if your qualification at the front end is good, which we've got much better at over the last 2 years, so that you're not bringing in people that you know are going to be a bad fit. So we don't chase revenue. We work with people that we know are a good fit culturally. They're going to be fun to work with. But they've typically got a good offer. They've typically got a decent-ish funnel in place. We're not yet doing the whole marketing piece for these people. They come to us with those assets in place. They just want to scale what they're doing.
And you also teach for clients that maybe can't afford to hire you or don't have access to you. You also teach the DIYs how to kind of do AdWords themselves, right?
Yeah, I've discovered I'm very much a teacher at heart. I think it was Kiyosaki that made me realise that. We always used to play his game Cash Flow Quadrant, and I'd always be the guy explaining it. And when I saw Kiyosaki say that's why he invented the game, was to find the teachers. I was crying a little bit that day. So I love to teach, and I figure the world's more than big enough for all of us. So I have a few hundred members in a group. They pay a little bit of money each month to sort of learn kind of the latest things that Google's rolling out, because it is difficult to keep up with. And I think one of my main skills, if I have one, is simplifying the complex. And understanding what Google intended by that, or how it works, pull the engine apart, dig inside. Oh, this is really cool. Here's some use cases, and here's some of how we've used this and what we've discovered about this. And I do a lot of training, a lot of webinars and videos, and teaching people how to use it, and increasingly more and more teaching people how to run the business of being a digital agency, which is much more fun and interesting, I think, for me.
So what I like about this is that you're kind of documenting what you're learning about PPC, and as things change, you're going to learn it anyway. You're going to document it for yourself and your team, so you may as well document it in a way that you can teach others.
Exactly. It's just it's kind of cheeky repurposing the content. If I've got to train a growing team, why not let everybody in on that and look over our shoulder as if they're sitting inside of WebSavvy, and learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, perfect.
We make some.
I'm curious about the members in PPC Savvy, which is your training around PPC. I'm curious, are they business owners who are doing their own AdWords, or are they agencies who are doing client work?
Yeah, mainly agency. Right. I'd say probably half between sort of one-man bands who want to grow that agency, and half would either be owning a bigger agency, or maybe they work inside an agency and they know that they need to keep current, and some of them are just doing off their own back. They're not even going to the boss and asking the boss to pay for this. They know they want to be bloody good at this thing. Because we also train a little bit of analytics and a little bit of sort of data stuff, a little bit of conversion, more and more, a bit of Facebook. Trevor, that works on the team, is a brilliant teacher of how to do Facebook ads. So we're really sort of building that out, because I've always been the AdWords guy. It's nice now to round that out. And it makes total sense to me that to share that. The stuff that we've learned. And
it's good positioning too, because you then say to clients, well, I'm the guy that teaches hundreds of other agencies around the world about PPC, and it's good positioning, and it's good authority positioning.
It is. I probably I don't talk about that much. I don't sort of use that as a big piece. I probably should.
That's all right. We've got it on video now, mate. I'll put it on the internet for you. So I just want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, because we've been talking about. We had our friend Nick on the podcast talking about Leads Hook, which we actually shot here in this beautiful location as well. And we were talking about, if you've got a lead generation system in the business that you think is kind of working, and we want to now scale that. And you were giving me some insights about how you can use the display network to scale that. So you want to start to talk us through that?
All right, so let's maybe set a bit of context here. There's two parts to Google. There's the search network, which everybody knows, google.com, ads at the top and the bottom. And then the display network, which is actually the goldmine for me. It's not nearly enough advertisers. Something like 2% of Google's advertisers even use the display network on purpose. Some people are running ads there by mistake because of the way they set up their AdWords account, but on purpose it's probably 2% or less.
Wow. Okay. So I've got to admit, it's been a complete mystery to me over the years, and I don't think I've ever deliberately used it. I think I may have accidentally used it.
And it's harder to use, which is why I think people stay away. Perry Marshall has this line that if search is a game of checkers, or what I'd call drafts, then the display network is a game of chess. There are many more moves, but with that flexibility comes power. And the ability to scale, particularly for things that people are not necessarily looking for. If someone's searching out a technical WordPress thing, then they're probably going to go to Google, and you can put an ad in front of them and show them some education or whatever. But you could also place your ads, your banner ads, your image ads on 2 million plus websites and target those to viewers a whole bunch of different ways based on maybe what they're looking at or how they've behaved in the past, and show them these ads and just gently remind them and get in front of them and say, we've got something that might be quite good for you. Come over here.
So what's the first thing, if we're going to start using the display network, what's the first thing we need to get our head around?
The first thing we've got to do is we've got to measure. So if I use a measure first, you've got to understand what we're going to measure and what success looks like. You can't leave that till last, because otherwise you're flying blind. And that gets really expensive really quickly.
It's really counterintuitive to everything that I've ever learnt, because just about everyone I've ever worked with, you set up your campaigns and you measure everything last. So you're saying that we need to start measuring things.
We've just got to think about what we're going to measure and set that up. And then we can go off and build stuff and start running stuff, and then obviously use that data to improve.
So you've got to know what you're measuring.
We've got to start with the end in mind and know what that looks like. So most people only measure what I'd say, the big thing. So the sale of the thing. And if you're selling stuff online, maybe that's a 1% conversion rate. 1 out of 100 people did what you wanted to do. If we only do that, we are in effect saying that the other 99 people out of 100 were all equally bad. 1 was good, 99 were bad. And clearly that's not the case. Maybe 20 of them landed, went, I'm in the wrong place, and bounced straight off. Maybe 50 of them sort of went, maybe. and 20 of them watched your video, downloaded your PDF, and 10 of them put the product in the cart and got really, really close, just didn't quite buy yet. So if we use those different levels of interest to measure someone's behavior on the site, then that informs everything else that we do to say, rather than just go after the 1% that worked, then we're throwing away all of that data. And if we can say, well, those 20 out of 100 that were really interested, let's use the 20 out of 100. Where do we get those 20 from? What was the source of that one and that one and that? So we can start to move our marketing towards where those people are. Spend money on the stuff that's working or sort of almost working, and get rid of the stuff and stop spending money on the stuff that really isn't working. So you get a lot more data, which means you can move faster and spend a lot less money to get to a good result.
All right, so now we know what we're measuring and the kind of things that we should be looking out for.
Yep.
What do we do next?
So the next thing we want to do is think about targeting. So I'm going to assume at this point you have an offer, you've got a website.
Yep.
You're going to think about targeting. So most people, when they think of display network, if they've got that far, is, oh, that's right, I can put ads on certain sites. So if I want to get in front of people interested in sports, I can put my ad on ESPN.
Yep.
Or if I'm selling something to women of a certain age, I can put my ad on Oprah.com.
Yep.
Or theage.com.au, or just there's 2 million of these sites, and we can go and pick them and put ads there. That's like this much of the game.
Yeah.
There are so many other ways to target. The one that I would imagine most of us are most familiar with these days is remarketing.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been talking a lot about remarketing over the last 2 years.
Yep.
It's been around for 6 years, and we've been using it for about 5.5.
Wow.
And it's so much fun. So most people, I think, are familiar, but essentially the behavior that you're using is you've been to my website, and I tagged you, I cookied you.
Yep.
And now, as you're wandering around the rest of the web, I'm going to follow you around.
Yeah.
I'm going to put an ad in front of you. But that's only one behavior that we can use. That was a behavior that happened on my website. So I can only remarket to you after you come to my website. We were talking about this a little earlier about how scary it is to some people, how pervasive it is, how much Google knows about all of us. So you can use that knowledge that that Google has about people to target them. So the most basic one of those, I guess, is this thing called affinity targeting, which is very similar to Facebook.
Yep.
You can target people based on their interests. That's a long-term interest. They're interested in website design.
Yep.
Great, I can go put an ad in front of those people, not because they're on a website that's about website design, but because they are interested in website design, and Google knows that.
Gotcha.
So they might be on ESPN checking out the sports results, or on Oprah.com, but I can put an ad in front of them based on that. Where this gets a bit more fun is if instead of looking at that long-term interest, we look at a very, very short-term, recent interest. So 1 to 2 weeks, they are in the market for, as Google terms it, a new car, or a new fridge, or SEO or SEM agency. There's about 500 of these little segments that we can target based on how someone has behaved away from your site.
Wow.
So it's almost a little bit like being able to think about remarketing to my competitors' customers. People that have been to my competitor's website, wouldn't it be great if you could put your remarketing Cody stuff on all of your competitor websites and say, Google, when they hit one of those, I want to show an ad to them. That's kind of what in-market is. It's saying, based on how they've been searching recently, based on how they've been browsing recently, and if they use Gmail, based on what's inside their emails, then show them an ad. But just a very, very short-term interest in the market for X.
It's a little bit creepy, isn't it?
It's a bit creepy and it's very profitable.
Right.
As long as you don't overstep the creepy line.
Sure.
That's a big thing. Whether it's remarketing or that, you never talk about what's past.
Yeah.
You never say, because you were on our website last week, we're going to give you a 20% discount.
Yeah.
You always talk about the future thing.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got measurement, we've got some targeting. And so we kind of know what we're measuring, we know who we're going to target. What do we do now?
Now we've got to show them an ad and we've got to test. So this is about message now.
Right.
So measure, target, message.
Gotcha.
And to begin with, we can have the one same landing page. You've already got it built. Don't worry, I'm not going to suggest you have to go build 10 of those to do this properly. But we really want to understand which ad attracts people to our website. So what most people do, let's go maybe problem solution.
Yeah.
What most people do, most graphic designers or most marketing managers even, will say, go and design me an ad. And it'll be 1, maybe 2 ads, and they'll do 8 standard IAB sizes of this one thing, and they all look exactly the same. They're all on brand.
Yep.
But that's not testing. That's just different size ads.
Yeah.
Instead, what we want to do is narrow it all the way down just one size. That size is 300 by 250 pixels. If you're interested, it's called a medium rectangle or a mid-rec.
Yep.
That one size, why that size? Because that consistently for us is the best trade-off between lots and lots of people use that size on their site. So in other words, lots of inventory. You can show your ad in a lot of places. And it converts.
Gotcha.
The sort of thin banner ads or leaderboard ads,
Yep.
lots of inventory, tend not to convert nearly as
wow.
well. It's almost like mistaken clicks
And
on
so
those.
the mid-rec is kind of usually in the sidebar?
Usually sort of surrounded by the content. So someone's reading an article or a blog or whatever it might be, and there's your ad right next to that. Whereas the leaderboard tends to be right at the top or right at the bottom. So it's kind of easier to ignore.
Yep.
So we found that consistently works the best. No animation, nothing silly yet. Let's just test different ideas. Is it the lady or the guy or the couple with the kid? Or is it actually not a shot about the user, the person? Is it the product itself, a box shot, or the end result? Is it a colourful image or a black and white? Or is it just words? It's just, there's so many things there that you can test. Let's test a dozen totally different ads and figure out, first of all, which one is most attractive to our customer. And typically, if you're testing a wide enough range, in other words, enough different ideas, the difference typically between loser and winner will be 3 times.
Gotcha.
And if you just pick one, you don't know. We can all, I mean, we'll often do this in the office. Well, which one do you think's going to win?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're the customer and you know your customers really well, or the agency. You can't be the marketing expert. The only marketing expert that matters is them.
Yep, is your customer, exactly.
Which billboard attracts their attention. And we've actually used banner ads on the display network to decide what the billboard should look like, an actual real life billboard in downtown Adelaide.
Really? Wow.
By running 9 different ads and seeing which one attracted the most attention. What was the big word? What was the design? What was the image of that? And we have real data to say that this one is 3-4 times better than this one, which maybe the hippo would have picked. The hippo is the highest paid person's opinion.
Right.
So the boss or the marketing manager, or maybe the graphic designer.
Yeah.
We'll have that one. Well, why? Let's use data, not guessing.
Yeah.
And let's go figure out which one works.
Wow.
And then, once you've got your maybe 1 or 2 best ones, now you can go and match your page to that winning ad. Because you do want that to match, you want that scent to be there.
This is great because, and I've made this mistake myself, what happens is when you start running a campaign, most people are just looking for the sale, the conversion, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not converting, let's change the ad. And all we're doing at this stage is measuring the click. We're just measuring which message and which look and feel is going to attract people to the website. Once we've worked that out, then we can start optimizing the rest of the funnel.
Right, because that's the job of the ad, right?
Yeah.
The job of the ad is to stop someone in their tracks, attract them and bring them to the website. Now the website's job is to sell that person on the next thing. So we may well have to test the page, but for now, let's just test a range of ads. And don't worry, like I said, don't worry about building a page to go with every single totally different variation, because it's all the same offer, and we can very quickly change the page. That may take a week to 4 weeks to figure out which of those ads is best. Pick the winner, now go build all your other sizes. Now go animate that if you really want to. Now go iterate on that. Oh, okay, so it was the family with the kids. Well, let's try different families and different kids and different ages and different things behind. Is the car behind or the house behind? Or let's iterate on the theme and keep trying to get better. Meanwhile, let's go test our page over here so that the message matches all the way through. But it's data, not guesswork. That's the key.
So measurement, targeting, and message are the 3 overarching themes that we've been talking about here. Awesome. There will be a download on this episode of the podcast. So if you're not watching this podcast on the website, make sure you get to wpelevation.com/Mike Rhodes, MikeRhodes, and everything, all the show notes and the download will be at that address. Hey, just switching gears a little bit, thinking of yourself as a business owner, if there was one problem you could solve in the next 30 days in the business, if I had a magic wand, what would you want me to fix in the next 30 days?
The big thing that we've got on the board for 2017 is simplicity.
Right.
That's our focus.
Yeah.
So continuing to simplify our processes, simplify it for our customers, our clients, and simplify so that we get more efficient and even better at what we do. Awesome. Make the guys' days even more enjoyable, make our results even better, and continue to simplify so that we can grow to that next level.
Yeah, beautiful. Mike Rhodes, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Absolute pleasure, Troy Dean.
Thanks, mate. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the podcast as much as I did, and I hope you could tell that Mike had a little bit of a headache because we had a couple of beers with dinner last night. It was a fabulous episode. There's tons of gold in that episode, and there is a checklist that you can download at wpelevation.com/Mike Rhodes. It's MikeRhodes at wpelevation.com/Mike Rhodes. You'll be able to get all the show notes, any links that we mentioned, and of course download that checklist from Mike. Please subscribe to the podcast. Go to wpelevation.com/iTunes. Give us an honest rating and a review about the podcast. We really appreciate the feedback, and it helps us come up in the search results and get the message out to more WordPress consultants. We are the world's largest business community for WordPress consultants, so we want to spread the message and share the love. We look forward to seeing you next week on the WP Elevation podcast. Until then, go elevate.